Sorry, guys. Hey, what's going on, guys? How you doing this evening? I'm sorry, I'm late. I know I had the live stream scheduled for 11, but just some other things came up that I had to take care of before, we got started here tonight. Well, that's actually not entirely true. You see, I had to wait to start the live stream for, some other persona of mine to arrive. And, I wasn't exactly, planning on this persona being late. So, yeah, I kind of messed that one up there. So you see, I need to have like two spinning images of myself, coming this Sunday at SummerSlam because, there was a clause, in the contract where, I could say I will have someone in my corner. Well, you see, Robbie One Kenobi, if you're in the live chat, you see, I kind of got a little tired of you grabbing, the likes of, let's say, Mean Gene from the BS podcast to be in your corner as well and just double teaming me on every single live streams all night. So I thought if you're going to have Mean Gene in your corner there, Robbie, I figured I ought to have a lunatic in mine. Nobody calls me a nerd. I don't know. Just to make that part up. Guys, what is going on? As you see, I had two personas tonight. I had, good old Seth Rollins, the current Universal Champion, as he burned down he went to Suplex City at WrestleMania 35 in the opening match, which I was there live, of course, and he burned it down! And, of course, we have the lunatic fringe himself, Dean Ambrose, of course, as well, since I have both their t-shirts, of course. Of course, I just, washed my Seth Rollins t-shirt today at the laundry, but, I can hang it up again, get ready for another day to use. But, of course, I throw my Dean Ambrose t-shirt. I wore my Aleister Black t-shirt actually all day today. But I had to throw on Dean Ambrose because, guys, this is my top 10 special live stream of the week. And a shout out to my friend Mark Johnson, who I believe was the one who suggested this special live stream that I was going to do if, in fact, Dean Ambrose is for sure leaving WWE, which I'm really starting to be convinced that at this point he is. Or at least for now. I've been hearing the rumors also that he may just be going to take some time off. I've heard rumors he may be taking like a 6-month break or something like that. Maybe, who knows? But either way, this is going to be it for Dean Ambrose for now. I mean, it was mentioned in the report months ago by WWE.com when they first announced that he was not going to be renewing his contract, which is supposed to be expiring pretty much around now, as Ambrose did turn out a very lucrative, I think 5 years, 7-figure figures deal, I believe, from what I heard. So again, obviously, it was always said, Ambrose's character, just really went flat last chapter. He turned heel. The long-awaited heel turn that needed to happen for Dean Ambrose, and rather than it being, a move that was definitely going to, give him like a rocket ship push to the top and make him one of the biggest stars in the company, which I definitely agree. A properly booked heel Dean Ambrose could have done that. Instead, they just made him do, as he called it, hooky shit. Come out dressed up as Bane and saying, like, you may be seated, just, making him a germaphobe. Instead of just completely going around what they should have done. Mark just sent me something on Twitter. Let me just double check what this is. Say, where would they get in these ridiculous rumors? Let me just look at that. And, of course, get back to the live chat. Just want to take a quick peek because I got myself curious because I haven't looked at my phone. I get curious. Let's see. Why Vince could force Seth Rollins to got cut off here. To lose Universal title to Bray Wyatt. I don't know about that one. We'll see, of course, what happens with that. I'll have to watch the video. But anyways, but of course, to celebrate was most likely going to be, well, not celebrate, to honor what most likely is the end of Dean Ambrose's current WWE run. Because in the report online, they said WWE basically said that they hope that Ambrose would return to WWE someday, which of course had me wonder if maybe this was a work, but with how they've been booking, especially since Fastlane, I really feel this is going to be it for Ambrose for now. So on that, though, I took Mark's idea, though, did my top 10 Dean Ambrose moments in WWE, of course. Now, of course, when Ambrose first turned from his injury last summer, I did like my favorite Dean Ambrose non-wrestling moments because, even though Ambrose's character as a babyface got a little corny, he still had some really, corny little lines that, I definitely will remember. Just funny moments such as, "Nobody calls me a nerd." Of course, one of the added honorable mention would be when he asked EC3 earlier this year, "Where's EC1 and EC2, huh?" And again, because, when Ambrose on the ball, he'd be pretty funny. But, of course, a heel Ambrose was not supposed to be funny, even though they tried to. But once again, Vince is obsessed with comedy. Can't be for everything. But anyway, so we're going to talk about my top 10 Dean Ambrose moments. Like, in the ring, out of the ring, all together. Now, I tried sticking with the list of Ambrose's moments he's had as a single star. Of course, I could have thrown in some Shield moments as well, but we talked about the Shield last week. This is about like Dean Ambrose, how he made a name for himself in the company for sure. So my favorite feuds, he had favorite matches, a couple segments in there as well. Of course, we'll not forget for how many years my cover photo on Twitter was always, one of the many faces of Dean Ambrose, starting from, his face whenever, which is, of course, I did not mention already, is my wallpaper on his theme song on my phone, which I'll pull that up in just a second. Which I obviously, I had another idea for another one. Ambrose would have got a new theme song and not just having a siren on to it. Of course, that face that Ambrose made when he pranked Rollins with the green goo is my wallpaper for his theme song on my phone. And of course, for a while, let me find 1 second. Dean Ambrose face. Let's see if I find the face of Dean Ambrose. Of course, there are some interesting faces that Dean Ambrose always makes. Such as, of course, this face. And this is not me pulling off the many faces of Shinsuke Nakamura here, but of course, this face. That during that promo that Ziggler cut basically just telegraphed that Ambrose was going to eventually turn heel. Or, this face by Dean Ambrose. So we're going to continue the many faces. Where is that one face that was my last one? The last face of Dean Ambrose that I found. Or, of course, if you want to talk about, his return, that's the face. This is coming out of his return. All right, there's one more. I'm trying to find. You know what that is. It's kind of cut off here, but this, of course, before, I gave it up for the Velveteen Dream on the couch. This was the last face of Dean Ambrose that made my cover photo. That look on his face, he's giving Rollins the first time these two saw each other since Dean Ambrose had turned heel last fall. But of course, though, it's not as some honorable mentions of some of the many faces of Dean Ambrose that are definitely priceless. You also cannot forget some honorable mentions, also mentioned, such as his backstage segment with that psychiatrist he was when he's showing. When they're showing him those photos, people tell him what to think. I think Triple H was irritable bowel syndrome. Roman Reigns was brother. Kane was toothpaste. Hacksaw Jim Duggan. Ho! And then next photo is Stephanie McMahon. And he goes, ho! Because there are mentioned out there. I also forgot about this one, but I liked the segment where he returned at Night of Champions after being taken out by Seth Rollins and Kane with the cinder block curb stomp the night after SummerSlam back in 2014. That, of course, his first feud with Seth Rollins was good. The second one with him, Rollins for the world title, was not too bad. Of course, the one last year kind of fell flat. I was hoping they would have carried that on either like a Shield triple threat WrestleMania or even just a match of Rollins and Ambrose WrestleMania as the original plans was actually for WrestleMania 34, a match with Rollins and Ambrose. But unfortunately, that didn't happen because Ambrose had that tricep injury or bicep, whichever one. I always get them mixed up. I get a ton of things mixed up. So earlier I was talking to someone, I got rivers, lakes, and oceans, all body of water mixed up. So just a few honorable mentions to throw out there as well. A couple of feuds in general, a couple of title wins. Of course, I didn't also don't have his U.S. title win on this list because that was with the Shield. And although it was, as U.S. champion, Ambrose didn't defend the title that much. I mean, he defended it 14 times, but usually most of the time he would win by either like count or disqualification. But at least while he was U.S. champion, he was still involved with some more important stuff involved in the Shield. But you kind of forgot about the U.S. title existed while you had it. But let's get that out there. He's had a couple of Intercontinental title wins. One of them, though, is on this list, as I said, because I thought the feud was pretty good. He had, even though, well, there was one match on here he had as Intercontinental champion that I will mention. But as far as the Intercontinental title wins, there's only one Intercontinental title win I actually would say I really enjoyed. Because one of them I didn't really see. The other one, again, was just a flat match. A match should have been good, but it was flat, which, of course, was last year's match at TLC between him and Rollins. So it's kind of flat. But, of course, we'll get to, this stuff. I've rambled on enough about a bunch of random crap. Let's check the live chat, and let's talk about my top 10 moments of Dean Ambrose's career. Starting off here, we've got Mark. What's up? Best Dean moment is him cashing in the same night he won Money in the Bank. Nice. Nice intro. Loved it. Awesome to hear, because, of course, I had to, improvise the moment when he returned last summer, which I thought was a really nice return for him, and the pop he got was amazing. Talk about that later on. What's up, Tyler? Saying best Dean movement, his heel turn in the beginning. Oh, for sure. For sure, definitely. That heel turn, again, I thought that heel turn was produced beautifully, but we'll talk about that a little bit also. Best Dean moment, him returning last year. We'll talk about that as well. If Triple H booked that heel turn better, for sure. Well, again, the heel turn itself, when it happened, was great. But how they booked him afterwards, yeah. Again, he was not meant to be a germaphobe. Just look at Jon Moxley. His work is Jon Moxley, and you have a heel Dean Ambrose. Best Dean moment was his feud with Seth when Rollins was the heel. Yes, that was great as well. His feud with The Miz, well, the SmackDown edition of his feud with The Miz was good. The Raw edition, meh, not really anything too special. Not terrible, but special to write home about. Of course, we didn't lead to him, being dressed as a bear, but, it's Dean Ambrose dressed up as wonky stuff. Oh, another honorable mention on my list. Him dressing up as the Mountie. that was kind of funny, I thought. Best Dean moment was when he was helping Ellsworth. That was, good for what it was, but after a while, that was good. But then they kind of eased back on that at the right time, because it was not gonna, you couldn't keep going on for too long. I felt what they were doing with Ambrose, Ellsworth, and Styles. His feud with Styles though was good. Best feud with AJ or Seth, which definitely have great chemistry with Seth. Of course, we learned last year at TLC that those two were not meant just for a regular wrestling match. They had to have a stipulation. Needed to happen. But of course, his matches with AJ were definitely pretty good. One specifically I will mention later on. But thank you for stopping the live chat for joining me, guys. Let's get to this list and talk about my top 10 Dean Ambrose moments in WWE. Here we go with number 10. Number 10 is a segment that I kind of improvised back in January when I did my video talking about when Dean Ambrose is leaving. I don't know why, but this is one segment that I really enjoyed with Dean Ambrose, and I wanted to put it on my list here. But it was during a average feud he had with Bray Wyatt, which was what it was. Wasn't terrible, but didn't really do anything for Ambrose or Wyatt in the long run. They did some stuff. I mean, they had a TLC match, had a goofy ending. The ambulance match they had on the Go Home show of Raw before Royal Rumble in 2015 was not too bad. But one of my favorite segments they were involved with, of course, Bray Wyatt kept saying that, he thinks he could save Dean Ambrose because he sees similarities in them. Of course, Wyatt's trying to get in Ambrose's head. And he kept saying, "Embrace us, Dean! Embrace us, Dean! I can make this all go away!" And then Ambrose, you hear him in the background going, "Hey, is this thing on? Hello? Hey, is this thing on?" And basically, he just tries saying stuff like, Bray Wyatt, you just just trashing on Bray Wyatt, saying, you keep rambling your mouth about this, and that, or whatnot. Well, you think you can save me? Well, I don't need you, basically, whatnot. But then, of course, he starts to, open up a little bit. And it's such like a corny little trick that he basically did, but it was just mind games that just kind of fit Dean Ambrose's sense of humor. And I don't know why, I just like the part when he was just like, yeah, maybe Bray Wyatt's not such a bad guy after all. I mean, maybe I can learn something with him. Maybe he doesn't want to save me. Maybe I can learn some from him. So you know what? I have learned some from you, Bray. I learned, it's something I like to present to you called a spooky magic trick that I've learned, and it's called this. Video recording. I'm not actually here right now because I recorded this earlier on my buddy's cell phone, and I'm actually out in the audience. Bray, run. And the lights go out, and then it lights back on. Ambrose in the ring beating the crap out of Bray Wyatt. I don't know. It was corny, but it was one of my favorite segments with Ambrose. Like something I could say that I enjoyed. I mean, of course, I've also enjoyed segments such as well, I like the segment also. Well, even though when he returned later on that night with like a hot dog cart, and he was just like destroyed Kane, Orton, and Rollins, I think it is, with ketchup and mustard and hot dog buns. When I was a little weird, but I like earlier when him and Cena were arguing. He's like, yeah, I'm kind of hungry. I think I'll just jump onto the subway, jet down to Continental, get a hot dog or something like that. And you actually see Ambrose just like, walking into the subway, which of course I thought about that, of course, when I was walking into the subway stations in New York a few weeks ago. That, and then there was one more I just thought. Oh, another honorable mention. If I put this on my list, actually, the segment where, well, I forgot to mention that I completely forgot to mention about this until now. 2016. Dean Ambrose, John Cena, and AJ Styles. That build for that match at No Mercy, that triple threat match, was awesome. Cena and Ambrose taking shots at each other again. Dean Ambrose, if you forgot, beat John Cena clean on an episode of SmackDown. I forgot to mention that on my list. That's another honorable mention there. I just saw that. But my number 10 is his mind games on Bray Wyatt in 2014. Number 9, which this would have been higher up, of course, if, of course, what happened afterwards been better, but his heel turn last October 22nd, 2018. So one of those nights of those Raws that I will never forget, with Roman Reigns kind of announced he has leukemia, to, them turning Elias and Braun Strowman face again, to that emotional tag title match in the main event with Seth Rollins and Dean Ambrose taking on the team of Dolph Ziggler and Drew McIntyre. Now, obviously, it felt like, they were going to put the titles on Rollins and Ambrose. I'm sure they would at first, though, because, Rollins is Intercontinental Champion. And during this match, I was more thinking, okay, when was the last time someone was like a dual champion twice in his career? Because Rollins, of course, was once the United States and World Heavyweight Champion at the same time back in 2015 for like a month. So that's what I was more thinking about. I didn't even think of Ambrose turning heel. And the thing was, the weeks turning up. Like WWE sometimes has done these things where it's like they bring the internet rumors into the show. Like I mentioned last week with how, they kind of ruined the Shield reunion and saying, oh, there's rumors. Yeah, that's right. We're here. It happened. Basically, when the Shield first reunited in 2017. I was afraid they were going to pull that again with Dean Ambrose, because for weeks they kept making it sound like that Ambrose was going to turn on the Shield. They made it way too obvious. They were telegraphing that heel turn. Well, to me, they threw me off. They got me because, of course, Ambrose and Rollins titles that night in honor of their brother Roman Reigns, who had just announced he was going to be leaving WWE for a while. The battle. And again, I still will not forget. After the match, when they won, I would start looking at my phone. Who are WWE superstars who have been dual champs twice in their career? All of a sudden, I look up at Ambrose and Rollins' dirties, and I'm like, what? Like, I couldn't believe that they actually were going to pull this off the night that Roman Reigns announced his leukemia, and right after they win the tag titles. And again, as I mentioned, I think the Lex Man said this too. A couple people said, Ambrose turning heel. Like, you got to make it look like, he does it, but then you just see this, like, dark, like, it's like, he's just like, oh, boy, what am I doing? Like it's like like a normal human being, like in Harry Potter and the Prisoner of Azkaban, whenever Lupin was just being himself, trying to save the others from Pettigrew, and then he looks out and of course he sees the moon, which of course is what makes him become a werewolf, and like he sheds off and he turns to a werewolf. Like that's the feel you had to have when Ambrose was going to turn heel. Like that's what I wanted to see, and it happened because Ambrose hit Rollins with the dirty deeds, and he was just like he looked like he regretted he did that at first. Like it's like it's getting me want to do that, but then it's like you just saw that look in his eyes, that change of light in his eyes, and it's just like that monster was coming out of him, and he just beat the crap out of Rollins, the trash he was talking to him and saying to him and whatnot, all of it. I was just like, yeah, that's how I wanted to be. Like that night, if we'd have done right further down, I saw another Tommaso Ciampa. I saw a Tommaso Ciampa type heel in Dean Ambrose, and that's how Dean Ambrose needed to be booked as a heel instead of like the whatever the heck they booked him as. But WWE was about to ruin the Dean Ambrose heel turn, because if WWE did not play it off like they did, Ambrose would have just been cheered when he turned heel. But WWE got us that emotion from Roman Reigns getting leukemia to Ambrose just turning on them after a big win dedicated for their brother and just throwing the shield away was just a beautiful way to get nuclear heat on Dean Ambrose. They just did not book him right, of course, after that heel turn. The first couple weeks, though, was interesting, but I don't know if it was because either they turned him earlier than expected, because I think the original rumor was they were going to have Ambrose turn heel by costing Seth Rollins the Intercontinental Championship in a match with Elias, like around Survivor Series, I think it was. I can't remember, but that's the rumor I heard they were going to go with for the Ambrose heel turn if Roman Reigns did not get leukemia. And also the rumor long term was for Ambrose to eventually face Roman Reigns in a match at WrestleMania, which I wish, but we're not going to get it. I wanted to see a feud with Dean Ambrose and Roman Reigns. We got them in a singles match on like a dull 8-minute match at Survivor Series 2015. Of course, they faced each other a couple multi-man matches, but we never really got an actual feud between them, which I wanted to see. But unfortunately, we're not going to get it now. Well, at least for now, since Ambrose is leaving. But I still thought, again, the way they did it saved that heel turn from getting that heel turn got the right reaction it needed to get. But again, they just didn't book it right. And if they booked it right, this would be higher up on this list. It could be like my number 2 or number 1. But because I didn't book it right, it's my number 9. So my number 9 is his heel turn back on October 22nd, 2018. Shocked the hell out of me. Props to WWE, though, for doing that properly. So yeah, that's my number 9. My number 8 is his Intercontinental Championship win on the first SmackDown of 2017. Now, Ambrose, of course, won the IC title at TLC 2015 against Kevin Owens. However, though, I did not watch that whole show. I didn't have the network yet, so I just watched the highlights. I can't appreciate that match enough. And, of course, his third IC title run, well, his IC title runs again. Ambrose, to me, always seemed he was better booked as a challenger for a title. As champion, I wouldn't say he was booked bad, but it felt like, they could have done a lot more with him as a champion, I felt. Well, on SmackDown, his second run as Intercontinental Champion was good until I'd say that run kind of lost its momentum when they had him and Corbin have their match on the pre-show WrestleMania 33. And then it kind of just went flat. But that one wasn't too bad on the SmackDown. On Raw, it was kind of flat. The third one, of course, didn't last that long because, they didn't book him, right as a heel. And he dropped it, of course, a few weeks later to Bobby Lashley. But I thought that his feud with The Miz on SmackDown, the end of 2016, after his feud with AJ Styles ended into 2017, was pretty good, especially getting Renee Young involved in it as well. And, of course, the match him and Miz had, I thought was really good with, of course, although it could have been nice to see Renee Young get involved in the match and take out Maurice or something like that. But it's a great back and forth action there. I thought the match was a pretty strong match, and of course, Ambrose got the winning the Intercontinental title. I think it was definitely, a fun fun feud for what it was going to be at that time to be. So I got to give Ambrose his Intercontinental title win on the January 3rd, 2017 edition of SmackDown Live as my number 8. Number 7, gotta go back to that face of one of the moments I just there's several moments that I've cracked up, especially with Dean Ambrose. And again, it's that prank on Seth Rollins in 2014. I believe in the build to their Hell in a Cell match, I think it was, that this happened. But so Ambrose basically stole Rollins' Money in the Bank briefcase. And here and there he'd be at ringside watching Rollins matches, like pouring crap, like such as like drink or popcorn, or just destroying the inside of the briefcase because he's trying to get his revenge on Rollins because he can't stand him for what he did, betraying the Shield, of course. And even the Hell in a Cell match, that was good too. Honorable mention, but of course Ambrose lost that match. So that's why I didn't include it on the list. Although he did lose a couple of upcoming matches that I couldn't resist and not leave off this list. But my favorite prank, of course, also another prank he did, and I forgot to mention also, was during the whole ALS Ice Bucket Challenge thing when he came from behind and dumped ice water on Rollins. He turned around and Ambrose is like, "What? It's for charity," and whatnot. But Rollins, though, was kind of chased after Ambrose. Rollins security basically was threatening to arrest Ambrose and punish him if he didn't get back the briefcase. He's like, you know what? Fine. Take the briefcase. I'm sorry. Here it is. I don't want any trouble. So he just walks into the crowd. Rollins goes to open the briefcase, and he gets this green slime squirted right in his face. And you can see it was shot perfectly too. Again, even for being a videographer, what makes things even better is from one shot to the next. First, you see Rollins' face up close, like you see him just with that green slime on his face, big at this prank. So then just a quick cut of a close up of Ambrose's face, like, oh, that feels good. And he's like, I'm sorry, I had no clue what's happening. Of course, the fact he was chilling in the crowd also, while this was all going on too. It was priceless, and it was one of my favorite. One of the moments that really made me crack up as a WWE fan. Of course, we've seen other comebackers out like Burns or other funny things happening as well. I guess just recently Velveteen Dream coming out on a freaking couch. Oh man, I just cracked up. It was just like him on a couch. I don't know what else to say, but yeah. So his prank on Rollins with the green slime is my number 7 on my list, my top 10 Dean Ambrose moments. Number 6, his return from injury last August. I did like a parody of that in my introduction here. Obviously, Ambrose, of course, he as he mentioned in his chronicle, he had that issue with his arm, that tricep injury for some time, but he didn't think it was much of anything. So the goal he had was, around the time we first started noticing, it was like right before Survivor Series when the Shield had their match with the New Day. Really good, a very underrated match. I really liked that match they had in 2017 with the Shield and the New Day. Really good, like 6-man tag match. So Ambrose's goal was to at least get to Survivor Series because the following week he was going to be going away to Hawaii on his honeymoon. And I thought maybe if he'd rested, he'd be fine. But of course, wasn't the case. And then afterwards, he's like, okay, I get this taken care of. And of course, he was written off, which was kind of setting up, Rollins then team with Jason Jordan, which, at first they're going to have a Seth Rollins and Jason Jordan match at WrestleMania 34. Not sure if I would have been a fan of that. I mean, on another pay-per-view, okay, but at a WrestleMania, nah. I would have been fine with Jason Jordan and Kurt Angle, though, at the time. Would have been fine with that match. Is that bug still there? I don't know. Sorry, I saw a bug crawling up my wall before I was going to get it, but I didn't want to interrupt the stream. But obviously, it was setting up, like the storylines was setting up, and even, Ambrose mentioned them, way before he turned heel, of course. But obviously, the seeds were planning for that Ambrose heel turn came back. And I do like how one time someone pitched an idea, because again, remember, the segment where Rollins and Ambrose trying to, make up, and like Ambrose is like, no, we're not doing this and whatnot. And then like Rollins literally just handed Ambrose a chair. Because remember, Rollins turned on the Shield with chair shots. So he was just like, you want to hit me in the back? Go ahead, hit me, do it. And Ambrose did not do it. Well, what if Ambrose would return and came out of the crowd and he smacked Rollins in the back with that chair, saying, "There, now I'm going to do what I've always wanted to do," or something like that. But of course he didn't. But anyway, so his return happened, of course, on the August 13th, 2018 edition of Raw, where it was the contract signing for the match with Seth Rollins and Dolph Ziggler for the Intercontinental Championship at SummerSlam. Of course, we all knew that at the time, Dolph Ziggler and Drew McIntyre were working together, which I thought was a really fun alliance to do. Definitely gave Dolph something credible to do, and helped Drew back up the ladder, being back in WWE on the main roster again. But obviously, again, Rollins getting sick and tired of being double teamed by two of them. So then there was a clause in there saying he was allowed to have someone in his corner, but of course he played the mind games, afraid that if he said who he was going to be, the contract would not be signed. So he wanted to wait till not Ambrose or Rollins, when Ziggler signed the contract before he came out, and basically just as I was trying to improvise before, said he'd been lying about his travel issues because they weren't his travel issues. But you mentioned that since you're gonna have this guy, a psychopath in my corner, I figured I ought to have a lunatic in mind. Obviously, make it obvious that a few seconds later, the theme music hits. Dean Ambrose comes out looking again like a thinner Triple H. Not that Triple H is fat, but just like not as like heavy looking, but he looked bulky again. When Ambrose returned last August, he looked in great shape. He had his haircut, he had the beard going, like he had the look of a perfect villain. Like I was just like already like, okay, heel turn coming this Sunday at SummerSlam. Didn't happen, of course, until later in October, but great pop, great return. It was just a perfectly written segment, I thought, for sure, for Ambrose to return as a heel. Not return as a heel, but return after a 9-month absence with that tricep injury. But yep. But that is my number 10. And number 6, of course, is Dean Ambrose's return on the August 13th, 2018 of SmackDown. Not SmackDown, of Raw, in the contract signing main event segment. So far, my list is my number 10 is Mind Games with Bray Wyatt in 2014. Video recording segment. Number 9 is his heel turn on October 22nd, 2018. Number 8 is his Intercontinental title win on SmackDown Live on January 3rd, 2017. Number 7 is his prank on Seth Rollins in 2014 with the Green Slime. And number 6, his return from injury on August 13th, 2018 last year. Forget to get to the top 5. Let's check the live chat and see what we've got here. Let me see here. Tyler, I think I will do Rivals next week. I believe I'll do my top 10 Rivals next week. I will do that, but I'll take your suggestion then. My favorite moment was with that psychiatrist funny. Oh! Irritable bowel syndrome. Yeah, that was priceless. My favorite moment was when he said Seth had more baggage than rich girl with daddy issues, which is funny as well. If Roman stay, what if he feuded with Dean again? Again, I wanted to see a Roman and Dean feud for sure. What's up, Tian Couponer? Thank you for joining us live. He's working overtime. Sucks, but hey, making some good money off overtime. Good to have you on the live chat, Tian Couponer. Yep, Slime and Seth Rollins is another one of Mark's favorites. My break is over. Get off at 1:30 a.m. Have a good night. Don't forget to hit that like button right there, Tian Couponer. Thanks for stopping by. As always, my friend, hope you're doing well. Favorite moment, him coming back to the arena in a paddy wagon. Oh yeah, that was so good. When he knocked out the Miz after Miz said "and action," that is true. He did that, and that was good. And then again, his beatdown on Miz backstage, where he was wearing that security shirt, he just literally was angry. It beat the hell out of him, and he got up. He was just like, all calm, cool, fucking, just like all clear, basically. Couple of little beatdowns he had, of course, but of course one of them I want to save because some of his beatdowns got saved because it has to do with one of the feuds, of course, that I'm going to talk about with shortly. But favorite moment, Royal Rumble 2017 when he tricked Ellsworth going into the ring first against Strowman. That was good too. I like that. Dean's prank was funny as hell on Seth. Yes, it was for sure. What if Dean stayed on? Ooh, I'm sorry, I have this bug on my desk. I want to kill it really fast. Okay, come here, buddy. Did I really not get it? Oh, come on. Exterminating break, guys. Sorry. I got him. There we go. All right, we're good. Wait a minute. I saw something. There's still food in there. I hope that's not what's drawing the bugs. But hey, they're in a bag. Well, probably should eat some of those snacks. Just those snacks in this brown paper bag on my desk I had packed for my WrestleMania trip. So sorry about that interruption, guys. Let's see here. What if Dean should have stayed on SmackDown in 2017? I don't think I thought Ambrose was going to be moving over at first to Raw in 2017, but again, my thing was, obviously I knew Ambrose's character as a face had really run its mileage at that point. So obviously a Shield reunion, I believe, had to have been done first before Ambrose had turned heel. So I wanted to get that as way well. So I guess I was okay with Ambrose moving over to Raw. Yes, I killed the bug. Thank you for yourself in a lot of chat, guys. Let's get back to the list again. So far, number 10 is the Mind Games of Bray Wyatt in 2014. Number 9 is the heel turn in 2018. Number 8 is IC title win at the beginning of 2017. Number 7 is slime prank on Rollins in 2014. Number 6 is return from injury on August 13th, 2018. Number 5, one of my favorite matches he was involved. Well, actually, there's a couple matches in the top 5. Actually, 1, 2, 3 matches. One is Moments, and the other one is a feud. But number 5 is his match with AJ Styles, the TLC match he had. Of course, also a great honorable mention. I can't believe I forgot to throw this in. There was his feud, of course, with Styles and Cena, the build leading into what's it called? No Mercy. But I thought of all the matches that Ambrose had one-on-one with AJ Styles, my favorite personally was still the TLC match. Even though, of course, he lost, I thought that, again, with Ambrose having, of course, that more, hardcore style to him, I thought he, utilized the weapons very well in that match. AJ Styles, who, was champion and still, on the rise. So this was his first TLC match in WWE. I thought he had a great performance. Like, these two went in there and they just meshed very well together in the ring. And of course, the shocker, of course, with Ellsworth coming out, even though they said how many times Ellsworth needs to stop helping Ambrose and stay out of his way and not prevent him, because of course, at first Ellsworth did cost Ambrose the opportunity for the title months ago by accident. But then, of course, as I kept saying, this is around the time where, okay, I love Ellsworth, but he was starting to, his little, thing of him getting these opportunities was starting to get a little bit old. So obviously they had to go fresh with turning on Dean Ambrose by pushing the ladder and Ambrose falling through the tables and helping AJ Styles when he goes, hey, I'm going to be WWE champion. I have a title opportunity, so I got to face AJ Styles because I beat him 3 times. Yeah. The hell, Dean Ambrose. Trust me, you had no chance. AJ faced AJ faced Ellsworth like 2 weeks later. He at the match, of course, where he did that Styles Clash, smashing his face into the steel steps. Yeah, Ellsworth didn't stand a chance. He was doomed. He was doomed from the start with that. I still thought that match was really good. One of my favorite Dean Ambrose matches for sure, and one of my favorite TLC matches I've seen so for sure. Well, of course, again, we've had some better TLC matches in the past, of course, but one of my favorite TLC matches for sure, number 5, is his TLC match with AJ Styles at TLC 2016. A really good pay-per-view, by the way. One of my favorite pay-per-views in 2016 for sure. Well, one of my favorite SmackDown pay-per-views as well, within that, that time span for sure. But that is my number 5. Number 4 is one of my favorite feuds he had. And that, besides, of course, his feuds with Rollins, a feud I actually enjoyed was his feud with Chris Jericho in 2016, which, of course, was the original plans for WrestleMania 32. Dean Ambrose was originally supposed to face Chris Jericho at WrestleMania 32. But then I guess a lot of things got changed around due to the injuries and whatnot. Because, originally going to WrestleMania 32, at first, they were going to have Ambrose and Jericho. Brock, I think, was going to feud with Bray Wyatt. And, of course, the match that makes me sick the most is the fact that AJ Styles was supposed to get squashed by Ryback. AJ Styles was supposed to get squashed by Ryback. AJ's career would have been dead. Over. Doomed. Would have not become the phenomenal one. Would have not become the face that runs the place. The champ that runs. Beat up John Cena. He also down live. The house that AJ Styles built. And we would not be to be facing Rollins Money in the Bank. Just a bunch of stuff, of course, we would not have seen happen if Dean Ambrose, not Dean Ambrose, if AJ Styles, blah, blah, blah. But anyways, way off track here. Getting back to the topic. Before, of course, was his feud with Chris Jericho in 2016. Now, again, Ambrose did face Brock Lesnar in a very big letdown match, 32. And again, very disappointing. And one of the worst matches of the night, one of the worst matches of the year. And also, one of the big. But they had this feud with Ambrose and Jericho, and I knew they would put good stuff there. Start off with, Ambrose coming out in the middle of Jericho's show, the Chris Jericho highlight reel, and he came up basically gave him a note saying that per Shane McMahon, not talking Jericho, the Chris Jericho highlight reel has been canceled and will be replaced with the Ambrose Asylum. Is my tie on? I never hosted a TV show, but I'm quite kind of nervous. And of course, it began from there. Of course, we did have Mitch the Plan. Of course, Jericho took and smashed into Ambrose's head. Pretty at Payback, I thought. Well, the Payback match was definitely their best one. Of course, for Extreme Rules, they set up, they had like the steel cage match, but they made it a little more of a gimmick match, calling it the Ambrose Asylum match, which the thing is, that match was not that bad. The problem is it was long. They could have shaved like 10 minutes of that match. That match was like 30 minutes. Here, let me look this up. I see how long that match was. I think it was about 30 minutes. Like, it didn't need to be 30 minutes long. Because that's the thing. Like, some of these matches, like, I could say that they were good, but, they could have been better if they weren't so long. But it was definitely good for something different. But of course, I like how they got a little bit edgier with that match. Of course, using the thumbtacks, they added a little bit of comedy. Like it was Ambrose's match, and I feel like the gimmick played well, but at the same time, again, they could have cut down time. Actually, it was 26 minutes and 21 seconds. Yeah. Little too long, I felt, but it was still a fun match. But I just really enjoyed this feud, with Mitch the Pilot Plan. Of course, with that happening, and then like a week or so later, when the main event of Raw was supposed to be Chris Jericho versus Big Ass. Hopefully, him and Enzo work out in Ring of Honor, even though I've kind of soured down on Enzo a little bit. So it's supposed to be that main event, but then during Jericho's entrance, he gets attacked, and then of course, the jacket's on, but instead, when the lights turn on, Dean Ambrose is wearing a jacket, and he rips up the jacket. Yo, me $20,000, Ambrose! Yo, me $20,000! Which was quite epic. And of course, also, the 69 tacks, with that thumbtack shot. Of course, in Talk is Jericho, you do hear, I think it was in the Talk is Jericho episode with Jeff Hardy and Dean Ambrose. Good episode for sure. Talk is Jericho. They were talking about that match, and I guess they wanted. Ambrose had to literally like go into Vince's office and just argue with him for like ages. And he Ambrose said he would not leave Vince's office until Vince agreed to do that thumbtack spot. He's like, no, not happening. Come on, no, come on. No, like, come on, Vince. Like, they're nothing. They're dumb. Like, it's nothing. Like, they're stupid. They're not going to do anything, no harm and whatnot. And then finally, I guess Vince was just like, if I can imitate him right, Jericho okay with it? Oh yeah, he loves his idea. Fine. I think originally the plan was for Ambrose to take the bump in the thumbtacks, even though with hitting the dirty deeds at the end, he did kind of get a couple thumbtacks in his arm, I think it was. But But first, they were going to have, Ambrose be one taking the thumbtack bump. But then after they find out that the finish of the match is Ambrose going over, Jericho's like, well, he can't take the thumbtacks and win. It's like, the thumbtacks, like just throwing someone into like the ring of fire base. Like, how could, Ambrose come back from the ring of fire and beat that? So then all of a sudden Jericho's like, shit, I gotta take the bump in the thumbtacks right now. So Jericho took the bump in the thumbtacks, and of course it led to the whole 69 tacks thing. But when Jericho's telling the story about how he got the tacks plucked out, he said they counted 68, but then they found this number 69 poking into his butt. Quite ironic that's where it is, but yeah, I still enjoyed that feud. It was definitely one of my favorite feuds that Ambrose was involved in. Of course, it definitely helped elevate Ambrose into, the for sure main event scene because, well, what happened at the following pay-per-view, we'll talk about that in a little bit as well. But number 4 on my list is his feud with Chris Jericho in 2016. Mitch the Potted Plan, Ambrose ripping the jacket, which, as Jericho said, Ambrose was the right person to do so. Because when he first bought that jacket years ago, he said, someday I will have somebody rip this up. And of course, it was around the time when the jacket, the lights were starting to go bad on the jacket. So I was like, okay, it's time. Ambrose is the right person. Let's do it. But but that's my number 4. His feud with Chris Jericho in 2016. Number 3 is a match I feel some people might forget about because it was not on like a pay-per-view, but a network special. And I thought this was it was right before WrestleMania 32. It was obviously when I felt Ambrose may have been at his best. Well, one of his best runs for sure. Of course, especially led to him being world champion. But he got involved in a mini feud with Triple H. And he had a match with Triple H and Dean Ambrose had a match for the WWE World Heavyweight Championship at the Roadblock special. Not Roadblock End of the Line, but the special called Roadblock, like right before WrestleMania. Ambrose and Triple H had a match. After, of course, Dean Ambrose pushed Triple H over the edge. Of course, that led to Triple H beat down Ambrose. And, of course, show wasn't enough as Ambrose just, like, crawling towards the microphone, laying on the mat, like, hey, Hunter. He's all beaten up and bruised up, but he just goes, thanks. And then he just gets destroyed again. But anyways, this is a really good match. And, of course, I still to this day will not forget when I saw that near fall. Ambrose hit Triple H with the dirty deeds. I thought he had him. I really thought Dean Ambrose had hijacked WrestleMania 32. The match with him and Brock was going to be for the world title, which I was hoping Ambrose would have beaten Brock, but I was dreaming too big. I was dreaming way too big. Ambrose was not going to beat Brock. But of course, I thought maybe Roman and Triple H would just be about just a one-on-one match. So I kept saying that match with Roman and Triple H did not need the title involved. It made it way too obvious that Reigns is going to win. Because at that point, Reigns had already beaten them, gotten the title, got there. But this is just more of like a grudge match with him and the McMahons. But instead, of course, they made it way too complicated, ruined the feud, and But anyways, but again, that match with Ambrose and Triple H, spectacular. I really thought Ambrose had Triple H, though, with that. He hit the dirty deeds, but Triple H just got his foot underneath the ropes, just broke it up. Oh, man, I thought he had. I so thought he had it. This close. Ah, man. But, of course, it happened months later. But definitely one of my favorite Dean Ambrose matches is that match with Triple H at Roadblock in 2016 for the WWE World Heavyweight Championship. That is my number 3. Number 2, I'd say, well, my number 1 isn't really it's kind of a match and a moment. That's my number 1. My number 2 is my favorite singles match I think Dean Ambrose has ever had. This is a really good match between, two, well, at the time, very fresh opponents for sure. Definitely, did wonders for Dean Ambrose and did wonders for his opponent as well. The formerly now known as Big O, Kevin Owens. And I'm talking about the match they had for the Intercontinental Championship at the 2016 Royal Rumble pay-per-view. The opening match to that pay-per-view. Dean Ambrose and Kevin Owens in a last man standing match for the Intercontinental Championship. Spectacular match. It was one of my favorite matches for sure of 2016, where they went out there, won for sure, making that Intercontinental title prestige. But again, bringing out like the best of, Dean Ambrose's hardcore style. Kevin Owens looking like an absolute badass in this match, making his physical side come out as well. These two went out there and just beat the hell out of each other in this match. And of course, they sold, the match. They sold, their effects of the match very well in the Royal Rumble, of course, later on that evening, as they both entered the Royal Rumble match. And of course, Ambrose, if you remember, was one of the final two people. It was him and Triple H who were the final two in that year's Royal Rumble. Not, of course, Triple H and Roman Reigns, but Triple H did eliminate Roman Reigns, who was third in the Rumble match after he had just Superman punched Sheamus out of the ring. But yeah, I really thought that this Intercontinental title last man standing match was just spectacular. Again, it was like a fresh feud. Well, I mean, they already had like maybe like 2 or 3 matches already at this point, but it was two guys getting like a big spot match on a pay-per-view with like a big stipulation that obviously these two were meant to really put over good, and I thought it just meshed very well together. It was a physical match. It was a fun match to watch, and personally one of my favorite matches of all time to watch, which is why that match is my number 2. And still, I'd say maybe my favorite match Dean Ambrose was ever in. It's my favorite singles match, Dean Ambrose. This, of course, this match, Dean Ambrose and Kevin Owens in a last man standing match for the Intercontinental Championship at Royal Rumble 2016. And number 1, one of my favorite moments of all time. I talked about this moment how many times. I talked about it last week as my number 1 last week for my Shield moments, but it's been number 1, of course, because this night was Dean Ambrose's night. It was his career night for sure, which of course would not have happened if Roman Reigns didn't get suspended, of course. Because again, the plan was for Roman Reigns to keep the WWE World Heavyweight Championship into the brand split. That was going to be going to Raw, and SmackDown was going to get the Universal title, which AJ Styles would have been the first Universal Champion. But number 1 is a pay-per-view that I thought if the first half wasn't just average or was what it was, the second half of this pay-per-view was just spectacular. This could have been one of the best pay-per-views of all time. Still one of my favorite pay-per-views because of the second half of this show, but Money in the Bank 2016. It was a 6-man ladder match for the Money in the Bank briefcases. It was supposed to be a 7-man ladder match. I heard a rumor the 7th person in the ladder match here was supposed to be Kalisto, but they made just a 6-man not 6-man tag, but a 6-man ladder match instead. It included Ambrose, Jericho, Sami Zayn, Kevin Owens to continue their feud going on. Alberto Del Rio, who cares about him? I don't like him. And Cesaro. A good, solid 6-man to be in a Money in the Bank ladder match. Spectacular match, and the right person won, Dean Ambrose. 1 hour later, the main event, Roman Reigns versus Seth Rollins for the WWE World Heavyweight Championship. Spectacular match, of course, there. My favorite spot in that match was when Roman went for the spear and Rollins, just jumped up and countered the spear with a pedigree. Sick looking counter right there, I thought for sure. And of course, he added a second pedigree to get the win and win his title back after he never lost it. When he feuded, when he got injured right before, of course, because rumors have it he was supposed to drop the title to Roman at Survivor Series 2015, but of course that didn't happen since Rollins got hurt. And I think the plan was eventually for Rollins to face Triple H at WrestleMania 33. And I think I've heard rumors also that apparently if Roman would have won the title then, he would have gone on to face John Cena at WrestleMania 32, which I guess would have been a fine time to probably have that match. Well, the big old-fashioned passing of the torch match that Vince McMahon wanted to have. We got that at WrestleMania, at No Mercy in 2017, which, again, the match was good they had. The fallout, though, after after the finish, then that's when I'm like, okay, fuck it. But anyways, the main event was spectacular with Roman Reigns and Seth Rollins. Seth Rollins wins the WWE World Heavyweight Championship back, a title he never lost. And I remember, of course, I mentioned how many times, about a week and a half earlier, I had suffered a knee injury at a trampoline park. And it really rocked my confidence for about two years. Last year, I finally, got back into playing some sports again. And, my knees felt good ever since, of course. But anyways, so hey, Seth Rollins back knee injury, then I hurt my knee. Didn't turn my ACL, just hyperextended, but the first time I really suffered like an injury, like close to what could have been pretty severe, but of course, for my comments. But I remember I was taking it very easy on my leg. But that night, as soon as Ambrose's music hit, I like jumped up off of my couch, well, off the chair I was watching at Dan's house, and I was just like, holy shit, they're really not going to do this, are they? And of course, Michael Cole's call, like, oh my God, Ambrose won Money in the Bank earlier tonight. And I'm just like, the drama just came in. The roof just exploded. The excitement just exploded. You knew that this is going to be a moment. Because, of course, I didn't realize until afterwards, and someone said it, Roman Reigns came into this match with the championship. Then Seth Rollins won the championship. Ambrose comes out an hour after winning the Money in the Bank briefcase. Comes in from behind Seth and blindsides him from behind with the briefcase. Cashes in. Match, the bell rings. Hits the dirty deeds. Dean Ambrose, the third member of the Shield, is finally WWE World Heavyweight Champion. The emotion was amazing. The crowd exploded, of course. And as I said, also that night, what was special about that night, the reason why I'm number one for my Shield moment is all three members of the Shield, three guys who changed the landscape completely on the main roster, whether you love them or hate them. They were the biggest men who really, set the tone for this company in this decade. All three of them in one night were world champion. It was a moment, and to me, it was the highest point of Dean Ambrose's career. The best moment of Dean Ambrose's career, for sure, as a single star at least, was him winning that World Heavyweight Championship. The way it was done, again, just making things spectacular. Of course, also, I'm sitting there wondering, are they going to turn Roman heel? Are they going to turn Roman heel? I really thought between then and before he feuded with Rusev for the U.S. title, that's when I really had faith that WWE may turn Roman Reigns heel. I've heard rumors, though, if Roman would have kept the title and kept going, in the Raw, into the brand split, I did hear rumor they were considering a heel turn, which I felt would have been the right thing to do if he would have been still been champion. But yeah, it was a night. It was one of my favorite pay-per-views I ever watched. Money in the Bank 2016. Even on a bad leg, I still jumped up, and I was, again, I don't think I had ever jumped up and really gotten like that, like into a moment since Daniel Bryan won the world title at, well, that or maybe whenever Seth Rollins shocked the hell out of us, the heist of the century. I don't know what, again, if I could say three moments that I really, jumped up and went nuts while watching wrestling, was when Daniel Bryan won the world title at WrestleMania 30, when Seth Rollins pulled up the heist of the century at WrestleMania 31, or when Dean Ambrose cashed in his Money in the Bank contract. Those were three of the moments where the biggest moments where I just I went crazy as a wrestling fan. But that, my friends, is my number one, Ambrose's night at Money in the Bank 2016. I'll, of course, go through the list one more time, check the live chat, and I'm going to be recording floor 37 of Adam Project. Practice it today. I'm going to record it. It's a very tough level, guys, but hopefully I'll have that uploaded. And again, I didn't get to my Money in the Bank card predictions yet, but I have the graphics ready. Just need to put the pieces together, but I'll try to get those out in the next couple days. I just had a couple things for work come up that I've had to take care of over the past few days. But of course, the beard's going to be shaved off too before my next stream. But let's check the live chat one more time. I'm sorry. First. Let's review the list again. My bad. Number 10 is Mind Games of Bray Wyatt 2014. Video recording. I'm not actually here right now because I recorded this on my buddy's cell phone earlier today, and I'm actually out in the arena waiting for you. Bray, run. His heel turn is number 9. Number 8 is his IC title win against The Miz on the first SmackDown in 2017. Number 7 is his slime prank on Seth Rollins in 2014. Number 6 is his return from injury on August 13th, 2018. Number 5 is the TLC match with AJ Styles in 2016. Number 4 is his feud with Chris Jericho in 2016. Number 3 is his match with Triple H at Roadblock in 2016. Number 2 is his last man standing match with Kevin Owens at the 2016 Royal Rumble, which of course was for the IC title. And my number 1 was his Money in the Bank, his night of Money in the Bank in 2016. And before I check the live chat, also I just want to say this about Dean Ambrose. Again, I've already said this off my chest where I've definitely not been happy with how WWE has treated Ambrose his last month with the company. Yes, he could have been used to put over people again, I like how put over Drew McIntyre in that Falls Count Anywhere match, or the Shield reunion was fun for what it was, and a few other things, but I just hate how they basically just treated him, booked him like he was nothing but a joke for most of his last couple months with the company for sure, which I felt is a damn shame because again. Ambrose, again, think about it, has worked some of the most matches over the past several years, not including, of course, when he was out with injury. But the guy was one of the biggest workhorses for this company. Just the fact that he was leaving and the way they booked him, made him look like not. And you could have had people put him over, but not made him look like a complete loser. The fact he was made him look like a complete loser just kind of pissed me off. Just disrespect to a man who definitely, dedicated so much of his time to his company and just, was one of the biggest workhorses in this company since he first came up in 2012. But I just wanted to say thank you to Dean Ambrose. Dean Ambrose is one guy I wish I'd been able to meet. I would hopefully maybe I still have the chance to. Again, maybe he does crack WWE, but, he may have not, been booked, at the highest level Dean Ambrose could have been, which again would have been like that heel John Moxley, Joker themed character that, obviously Dean Ambrose was destined to be as a heel. But, I still appreciate everything Dean Ambrose has done for the WWE. And I just want to, say personally, Dean Ambrose, thank you. I'm definitely going to miss you in WWE. I'm not sure maybe you'll ever come back someday or whatnot, but I respect the fact that you're doing what you feel is right for yourself. And taking some time off or going to the Indies, going to AEW. We'll see. But thank you, Dean Ambrose, and whatever you do next, whether it's just a break, AEW, Indies, go back to CZW, who knows? I wish you the best of luck, my friend. Always a Dean Ambrose fan. And, of course, let's look at the live chat one more time before let's see what we got here. Oh, if Dean stayed on SmackDown, they did a double turn with AJ after WrestleMania 33. If booked, maybe we'll see. That could have happened. My favorite, what's up, Elite Squad? My favorite Ambrose moment was when he won Money in the Bank and later on crashed Seth Rollins and became W champion. All 3 Shield guys were champion one night for sure. Again, my favorite as well. His favorite is when he called Kurt Angle in the middle of the ring. I don't remember that one. Remind me of that one. Okay, he was guest referee, ring announcer, and interviewer, which of course he was funny as that too. Yeah, I did. Tyler also heard that Rowan was supposed to face Cena at WrestleMania 32 as well originally, which okay, again, we'll be fine with it. Oh yeah, Marcos liked when he climbed the ladder and punched Jericho. Yeah, that segment where they're all just sitting on ladders talking, and Ambrose kept saying, "Hey, are we going to just keep talking here, or we're just going to sit on ladders keep talking, or are we going to fight?" And then Jericho does the usual stick up drink it in, man, and then just Ambrose just casually walks up the ladder, pow, punches him. But yeah, I also remember that segment someone said earlier where Miz said, "And action, pow." Just got nailed in the face. That was quite priceless as well. If Seth in the face Triple H WrestleMania 32, if AJ Styles took his place instead, Triple H and AJ Styles, sure, I would have liked that. What if AJ was in the Ambrose spot in the Rumble match? What do you mean by that? I'm not sure what you mean by that. Favorite moment was when he dressed up as a bear and a cameraman. That too, and of course, also he dressed up as one of the ring people helping put together the cage, the asylum match, and of course he was in disguise to attack Chris Jericho afterwards. Forgot to mention that one. Let's see here. Oh yeah, that's right. Also, he was talking about the Owens and Jericho being Canadian in front of Sami Zayn, and then he was like And I think like when Sam's like, hey, I'm Canadian too, and Amber's like, oh, that makes so much sense now. Of course, implying they all thought Sami Zayn was annoying, but unfortunately, we see here moments when he stole Seth's briefcase and championships. Right, he stole the championship also because the way Elimination Chamber 2015 ended, it was meant to look like that he won, but he really didn't. But let me see here. Remember was when he took the Intercontinental title from R-Truth. Oh, that hot potato thing that was a little strange, but not a bad pick either, Mark. He made Wade Barrett sign a contract facing him for the IC title. Yeah, that's right. He didn't like to get a handcuff or like detain him or something like that. And like Luke grabbed his hands, got him to sign that contract for his match at Fastlane. Yeah, that's right. I think that's that one. Oh yeah, when he threw popcorn and soda in Kevin's face. Yeah, I remember seeing that. It's like that when Ambrose said like that's pure me. Like Ambrose will just show up eating popcorn, do some goofy like, what's up guys, and just do something stupid like I did something too. Like I'll be sitting there like I see my parents are coming home. Like what. I'll just like they know I've eaten dinner already. I'll just keep like a chicken sandwich on that, just have them walk in and just be like, I'm like, what's up, guys? It's like, don't you ever stop eating, basically. I don't know. I get that from that segment with Ambrose coming out with that popcorn and soda, casually just coming in with Kevin Owens in the ring. Kevin tried to tag him from behind with a chair. Try to remember that one. Tyler met he meant that AJ Styles being a second in the Rumble 2016. Maybe I still thought that he had a very satisfying like not too much but not too little shown in that Rumble, but I wouldn't mind seeing him being second. He needs to be in another Rumble match. Styles has not been in a Rumble match since. I think he should be in next year's Rumble. Actually, I'm see of course. That happened on Raw when he said who wants to see Finn beat up the Miz. Okay. Yeah, I remember what you're talking about now. But yeah, guys, with that, I think we're going to check out here. And thank you to Tyler, Mark, Tia Couponer, Elite Squad. I missed one of you guys, whoever showed the live chat. Thank you all for joining me live chat. As always, guys, once again, thank you for your time in WB. Also, thank you to Mark also for suggesting this idea for me. Again, next week, Tyler, I will try to do your top 10 rivals. But I'll do a best one. See what I come up with. But I'll do that next week. And, of course, I'll have my long list of other suggestions that's given that, of course, we're going to be right now. Since, even though Money in the Bank, I've already done a top 10 of Money that makes already left do any now. But, what he said, giant TV screen behind you. Ha! Nice. But yeah, thank you guys for watching. Chat, guys. As always, guys, please subscribe or comment on me on Twitter at me. Make sure to leave. If you watch this afterwards, favorite Dean Ambrose moments in the description, down in the comment section as well. Also, if you haven't done so already, please check out the Experience documentary. Need a shortcut to it. It'll always be down in the description box down below. And with that, guys, I will see you guys all whenever next. Again, I'm trying to get Adam Project up over the weekend. I will try to get my Money in the Bank prediction this week, and I'll see you guys on Monday for my rollout review. So, everybody, I'm checking out. Have a great rest of your night. Don't take until Monday. Have a great rest of your weekend, and I'll see you guys all later. So, until then, guys, have a great night, and peace out, everybody.